name is Stefania, and as you know, today we are presenting a debate. We brought an interesting topic this time. For you, it is genetic engineering. But let me introduce a little bit before we start. Genetic modification are the processes in which people use tools to recombine DNA and other nucleic acids in order to create new properties for living beings or modify their already existing abilities. As you know, genes are the new tools for engineers, and they can be edited. It means added, altered, or eliminated. All this branch of science and technology has woken up differences between people. We all have different opinions, right? Perhaps we need to see what the facts have shown to see what is best for us in a society. So, can we start, for example, that we have agriculture, food security, healthcare, politics, and more. Can we please start with agriculture? Are you okay with that? Yes. Today we have Fernanda, Oscar, Hernan, Elsa, and on the other side, Pau, Chuy, and Saul. So the ones that are pro and against agriculture, can we start with the pro poster?
There's a lot of different standing that people take about GMOs, which mean genetically modified organisms, and they affect and help different aspects of our lives. In this case, talking specifically about agriculture, some benefits are increased crop yields, which means more food for everyone, which means more production for even drugs, which are made from some agricultural processes. There's the reduced need for pesticides, since these GMOs are more advanced and they don't die so easily as their original counterparts. So they are like greater food because they don't have pesticides, they use less water. And there's no evidence that they have a different effect nutritionally for our organisms.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have the other part? Who wants to start with this? With the agriculture, don't you have any agriculture cluster?
Oh yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, genetic modification in agriculture has been growing since some decades ago. So, with the aim improving of crops and increasing the food production. But however, it has also raised a significant concerns regarding environmental risk and consequences. It consists of a new gene introduced into a genome, causing its carrier to create a new protein. And this protein, when we eat it, we ingest a new protein. So we don't know how it is going to act in our bodies. So laboratory tests have indicated that this happens. This has a very bad consequence in our organism. So with this agricultural model, a great loss of biodiversity is suffered. We have gone from seeds with a lot of genetic information, adaptable to different solids, to different climate, weather, and different soils. So the genetic uniformity produced in large companies has arrived. So organic seeds are contaminated because transgenic seeds expand like all the plants with the vines or with some insects. So we have gone from associations and crop rotations that protect agricultural production for farmers and to large monocultures that contaminate and desertify.
Okay, just in time. Thank you so much. But we still have, like, in this topic, right? So what do you have to say, Paul?
Okay, so I would like to say that Um, we are thinking also more about the shortage of food that is going on in many places of the world. It is a fact that there is a lot of poverty in many places that limits the access to many products and to have a very good and healthy diet. And genetically altered crops and these foods can help this shortage by providing the specific nutrients to people who actually need them, you know. And I would like to say that according to the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, animals that are genetically engineered can have improved food production capabilities, enabling them to meet the global demand for more efficient, more nutritious, higher quality, and specifically lower cost sources for food. And so
You're not supposed to have
the-
your computer.
the people who have a very low quality diet, they are very vulnerable and they can benefit themselves from this. And also, according to the United Nations, 90% of the world's biotech crop farmers are from developing countries. So we should also think about the people who are more vulnerable to this sort of situation regarding the agriculture.
Okay.
Yeah, no
So-
computers, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Huh?
Okay. Yes. Anyway, after do you still have a poster about agriculture, or are we done? Okay.
Me.
So Chuy,
So,
yes, your time.
okay. Well, we have this problem of climate change that has been going for several years, and it has its effects on many parts of our society, and one is the effects on the agriculture, these droughts or scarcity of rain and water. So the implementing of the GMOs modification and this engineering in agriculture allows us to have better food and security of the foods we consume. And there has been like three different I don't know, olas, waves of this genetically engineer in food, which has been to modify the food so it can be harmed by the insects. The second is to proportionate more how do you say, like more vitamins and more
Yeah, nutrients.
nutrients in the food. And the third one is to create a part of from the food we inherit, like meat and all of that and corn, to make these supplements which have all these like nutrients we have. So the importance of this engineering in the modification of the GMOs is very important and crucial for our development on how we produce like the food we eat. And there has been a lot of regulations that take care of the possible illnesses they could provide.
Okay. Yes, that's it. So in this side we have the GMOs actually make species or biodiversity endangered. But on this side we have that maybe with GMOs and all these genetic engineering processes, we might have better well-being and healthcare, right? And talking about healthcare, we also have this poster from this side, right? You have Yeah, some of you are talking about healthcare. So can you start with this?
Yes. We all know about the bioengineering. It's a concept that has been said even before we started bioengineering in healthcare and humans mostly. But this brings us problems that is a newly applied concept, and it can be dangerous from physical and even social problems that can influence the lives of said individuals. In the physical aspect, when bioengineering, they're focused on certain strands, which is, well, what they're trying to edit. For example, if they want blue eyes, they edit some strands, but editing such strands can end with off-target strands being affected and can bring even negative aspects to be affected in the individual, which could even influence his further life throughout his rest of his life. And even if that comes into effect, there have been many theories and hypotheses about what this new life could be. Utilizing such a hypothesis is in movies, video games, and even books. And in the movie of Gattaca, we can see how the effects of the social lives of all beings, those that were genetically modified and those that weren't, how the diversity of each person and how the lives were affected of all of them, the individuals.
Okay, so now we have a science fiction whole kind new level. So do you have anything to say? Okay, Saul.
So you said that this affects physically and socially. First of all, there's a lot of studies, or everything that is put out to the world to be made commercial or produced massively is very carefully studied before. And every GMO that is out there right now is studied that doesn't affect you differently than non-GMO foods, according to the FDA of the United States. Yes, it's the most rapidly adopted technology in our times, which can be something scary because it's growing and growing, but it's been growing very regulated, and many people are taking care of what's going out there to take care of us or of our future. And you also talked about the society, the effects it has in the society, and there's a very strong effect it has had. For example, in India, there's that's a place where cotton is very massively produced, and according to research, because of climate change, the cotton wasn't being enough, and farmers were suiciding at a very important rate each year. It peaked at around 15,000 per year by 2004, and when GMOs were introduced and were made more approached for more people, the suicide rate was 25% less than that 15,000 for the next year, and it has continued to decrease with this introduction of the BT cotton, that is the special GMO, which is stronger and also serves the same way as the normal cotton does.
Yes, just in time too. So you already talked about the suicide rate and all these around people lives, right? But the reason why it is decreasing and making our human race better, it is because of politics terms, right? We won't have a well-being complete if we don't have politics or laws that can allow us to act in pro of society, right? And we have politics also on this side, and you have it, fair, right? So can you please start with your position?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the regulations and the laws that are established. So first of all, I think they should be more strict as they are now, because due to legal loopholes, they have already done the experiment as the babies in China or the 3-parent IVF on Mexico. And another thing that this causes that there are not enough regulations that are strict is that even though we don't know the effects of it, we're putting people at risk and allowing law, like legally to do so. For example, the United States allows for genetic germline modification if you pay it, like personally. So I think there should be more laws against it, so that it's controlled by the authorities and by the scientific community, because it needs to have authorities to say what is right and what is not right. Another thing is that this has also opened the door to what is called like designer babies, which is when you select what you want your baby to have. So basically, what is the limit or the ethical implications of, well, let's make 100 babies that can beat the government of Korea, you know? Like, we don't have those, and we need to talk more about those, but they should be more strict because you're playing with babies' lives.
Like they already exist.
Yeah, and they already exist, and we're not banning that. So I think there should be more communication about that, and leaders should be more open to listening, but also to being really careful about their use.
About their use.
I actually have the health.
Okay, so as in politics said, Fer also said that we are playing with babies' lives, and this is our reality. Just as Hernan already said, like we are coming back to this Gattaca apocalyptic stuff. So, do we need to return to healthcare topic? Are you pro or against?
No.
Okay, so you can start now.
Well, I'm in favor of genetic alteration. I believe that also a scientific problem. Maybe a lot of people do it because of a religious theme. I feel like almost every Catholic or Christianism, it's because they think you are altering like God's life. Well, I'm in favor of the alteration because I believe a lot of people think that it will actually affect the person that just like gave birth, but actually it has a lot of benefits. Like genetic alteration can cure a disease, a genetic disease. So if the mom has diabetes or something like really strong genetic, if you alter the gene, well, you can save that person, you see it in that side. And also it can cure a lot of diseases. So I truly believe that we have more good things than bad things if we're just focusing on the scientific thing. If we don't get into like Catholic and like what everybody thinks, I believe that scientifically we could literally like save humanity if we use gene alteration.
I wanna talk also like against the health one. I don't know.
Okay, yes, I was going to,
No.
yeah, because it is related, so
Yeah.
you can begin.
Okay, so one thing about the health aspect that I'm against, or that it should be more restricted, is the fact of germline genetic modification, which is like you have the fetus and you modify it in order before it is born. And the thing with this is that when you modify a genetic sequence, you're doing so before even knowing if the gene will activate. So you have like a 40% chance it will do so. So we're playing with the lifestyle and the well-being of the baby before even knowing if it's gonna have it. Another thing is our immune system does not like genetic modification. It actually rejects it, and right now there's not enough methods for it to carry on. So I think human testing of human germline modification should be stopped before we have conclusive evidence on animals. And another thing is that the germline, scientifically, the germline modification genes have proven wrong. For example, in cancer treatments, they have created more cancerous cells instead of attacking the natural ones, due to the fact that Erna was talking about the error. Like you want to attack this gene, but instead of doing so, it attacks another thing and it complicates it. And the thing is, with CRISPR, you eliminate the gene. So your genes are stuck with doing the task of uniting them in their own ways. And they're not programmed to do so. So I think it should be more looked into.
Yeah, regulation and further research, of course,
Yeah.
is needed.
I do
To-
want to talk about.
Okay, do we start?
No. All right. So I would just like to say that it is true that there is a difference between genetic alteration and genetic engineering. And genetic alteration does not always involve the alterations of people's genes up to the point of modifying them for purposes that don't involve either curing a disease or improving the quality of life. And so, according to the School of Medicine of the University of Missouri, some genetically engineered bacteria and other microorganisms are currently being used to produce some very important things like human insulin, human growth hormone, and a protein used in blood clotting. And all of these things are used to treat some conditions and some diseases. And this means that for health purposes, genetic alteration can help provide a better quality of life to the people who suffer from various diseases, and that because there is currently a shortage of many of this, like for example insulin, there is a shortage of insulin, maybe low income or other constraints, then they can have access to these kinds of medication. And we also agree that with new technologies and new inventions, these tools can be very, very powerful, and we have to be cautious. However, instead of straight up demonizing the alteration of the genetic alteration, then we should understand the implications of the possible benefits that it has already brought to the table. And it is not a matter of what if it works, it is a matter of it is already working. So for example, some therapies like CAR T cell therapy is FDA approved, and it has had major benefits to the treatment and this means that professionals have already researched and considered it safe for it to be FDA approved.
Your time is up. Would you like to finish your argument?
Oh no, that was basically it. Thank you.
Okay, so we already discussed that in healthcare, talking about healthcare, in endocrine system, it is already working, like diabetes stuff, and what were you saying, like hormones? Yeah, hormones that, growth hormone, yeah, I remember that. But on the other hand, we have that not for all diseases it has been proven, of course not, because it is a really new branch of science, right? So of course, we all agree that all of these genetic modifications up to the, like we have been up to the point where it sounds kind of eugenistic. However, like we are saying that it is not totally supposed to be like that. And that is why this team is saying that there should be more regulations. Do you still have any politics poster, or can we change off topic? You
I have, but in agriculture.
What?
In agriculture, like the laws.
Well, it is fine.
Can I add something?
No, I would like to go to politics stuff. And Churi, you can start if you want.
Okay, so many people think that this genetic engineering in the agriculture is kind of, it has like a lot of risks for the health of the consumers,
Okay.
but it has been proven that it is as safe as like the food that is planted normally.
Okay.
So, and there are organizations such as FDA, which backups this this safety and this health care about the engineering of the GMOs, and also the European Food Safety Authority also guarantees this oversight, which ensures that GMOs are which is safe, and they have been testing it and monitoring, and they say it's safe for the health of the person and also for the environment.
Okay.
because also having this type of modification in the genes also reduces like the contamination impact it has on the environment, as you won't have to use these fertilizations, which we all know that produces a lot of contamination, and these uses of chemicals, and to like also kill like the insects that are like living in the area of the agriculture space. So it has a lot of benefits, not only for us but for the environment and for this problem of climate change.
How do you manage time so well? Like you always talk 2 minutes.
Because he's a musician.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so now that we finished politics topic, or do you still have?
I want to add something about what you mentioned.
Okay.
You mentioned that
But it's about politics, right? Okay.
genetic manipulation can be beneficial addressing global food safety and health challenges, but also it has these benefits. It also damages and takes significant risks to the environment, to the human health and biodiversity. Here I have a study that says that they made an experiment carried out with rats in Scotland and revealed disorders in the intestines of rats after 10 days of diet, also observing problems in the growth of animals and in the development of the vital organs. So if this happens to the animals, what will happen to us? This affecting the human health, and what you mentioned that it also has benefits in the environment. I disagree with that because I found also a study that says that it has a negative impact on biodiversity, displacing native species and reducing genetic variety in agricultural ecosystems. Because if you add genetic manipulation to the diversity, this will bring modified things to the world, and the world is not prepared because they have like certain they adapt to due to the climate change, and you have something that they aren't used to, it will affect all the world.
Okay. So interesting that you all have like opposite part. It is nice. Do we still have another topic to discuss that I forget because they are all right? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
so
you can mention what we talked about before.
I have one more.
About, like what I told you before about the consequences of longer lives, for example, or consequences that are not happening
right now.
very soon,
Okay.
but are consequences of all these advances, right?
Well,
There's like,
There's
like
a couple.
agriculture.
Well, first the one that are pro. Yes, you are pro.
Yeah.
well, I am pro of the genetic modification in agricultural, and in the health. I also have this posture in favor, but not in all of it, because it is a very new technology. Well, not new because it is from the past century, but it has not been tested enough in individuals to know exactly what could be like the secondary effects. And I think in this modification of human genes, if it is not regulated by these international organizations, just the use of this alteration in the health part of the human, preventing like diseases or yes, diseases, you can tend to go to the problem of, well, having a baby in your standards. But what are those standards? So you would create like this society with I want a baby like blue eyes, green eyes, and that is 185. So it can tend to some sort of discrimination, and yes, you can have a lot of problems in the future of what the teacher was saying about if you extend the human life, like what would be these agreements on, for example, the retirement, the pensions. So if you live 150 years, how much could you have? How much do you have to work to now be retired?
Yes.
And not only that, but a lot of more problems in the sense of society as we know it now, like the evolution of ourselves being in a range of 100 years. If you extend that, you will have a lot of more problems and things that you will need to attend before even implementing.
Yes, of course. Not only like work and eugenetic kind of to World War II topic, but teacher was talking about overpopulation and all this with senior citizens. The incoming situation with senior citizens would be like we won't have enough resources to distribute everything, right?
And a little one more thing before I finish. So we have this technology. Imagine you can implement it. So who's having it?
Yes, of course.
Is the rich people having it? The people who can pay like thousands of millions of dollars, and you segregate this part of the whole population that can afford these treatments. So who is going to have this privilege of the technology?
Yes.
I'm also in favor of gene alteration, and actually there was a doctor that in China was the first one to do the gene alteration. That was to a pair of twins, and a year later to a newborn, and he actually got into jail for 3 years because of this. So when he got out, he created a organization, no, fundación.
Foundation.
Foundation.
Foundation to like help with the expenses, because a lot of people in like social services didn't want to help the kids that were made by genetic. So he created a foundation where he helps the new genetic childs that don't want to be child supported. So I believe that is really true, that many people, like, to be honest, only rich people like get to do this and like to save like their child's life, and that's why I believe it should be like legally like a right for people to do the gene alterations.
Well, the thing is, you cannot understand that when the first computers came out to the market, they were so expensive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That people couldn't buy them. I mean, my sister was one of the first generations of computer science like students, and she needed a computer because it was part of, it was like a really big investment that it didn't exist in the families. Only at the university there was one, and so on. But then with time it becomes a lot more democratic, the price, right?
Yeah.
Same as the solar panels, when they appeared in the market, they were extremely expensive. Now they are very accessible, right? So of course, some treatments are only for people who can afford it, but after a while it will be at least affordable for the middle class, right? Because of course, the ones that are very poor, they don't even have access to have a computer in their houses, right?
Yes.
But that's not anything we can do about it, right?
That's why it's cool, like the doctor that he created a foundation.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that will
I would
like
like to
help.
expand what the teacher said and Choi said about how like who's gonna have it and how we're gonna buy it.
We
Is the
only
government
have
gonna
to-
provide it, or and will it provide it? Like that's a very diverse topic because only a small group percentage of people are gonna have such a technology. Well, then the segregation will be bigger. And in case it's applied to everyone, what would happen to the new generations that are applied the new genetics and the older generations? Well, what happens if the new genetics affects the performance in some jobs? So the older people will be kicked out of said jobs, and it would be a problem of diversification, and all that would be also implied in this futuristic scenarios.
So, as we know, there are, of course, some and they both are good, like well fundamented pro and against arguments. So, just to conclude, Saxena and their contributors of a laboratory in the UK said that, of course, our global situation is decaying in general because of all the pollution we already talked about and all the healthcare problems that are currently on our time and our age. However, we already know that biotechnology and genetic modification is not bad nor good. So it is still a topic that it is discussing and debate, and further research is required in order to get more and solidify all these conclusions. So don't worry if we might still follow this debate during 3-4 hours, but now it's time to finish it. So I want to thank everyone for listening our topics and our opinions, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.